The high lift mounted on the back. As you can see, it is red and my Jeep is orange, and I don't like that contrast. So it's all up there except for the actual pole. You can see there is black, all the rest of it is red. So what I want to do is take it off, remove all the hardware, the bolts and everything, cover up any other stickers, and paint it the same color as the Jeep. So I want to do a color match. So today the order I put in from Automotive Touch-Up arrived. I ordered the paint. It's coming in aerosol, so I don't need my spray gun or anything for that. I've used them many times before, and it's probably my third can I've ordered from them for the Jeep. And they send it, and it comes in, there we go, my Jeep color, the KL4, and they'll match my Jeep color right here, the orange. So I will get this removed. We'll take it inside, remove everything we can, sand it down, throw a couple of coats of primer on it, and paint her up. Alright, it's kind of windy out today, so I hope that doesn't mess up the sound quality too much. But I have it off, and so today we're going to take it apart, sand it down a bit, and paint it to get it ready for going back on with the color match. Alright, so to start taking this high lift apart, I got my, what is this, I think this is a 16 millimeter, and I also have a, what is this, a 13 millimeter. Alright, so, and I also got some of my needle nose, and these right here, just, I had some zip ties on here to help make sure it was quiet along the way, make sure there was no rattling around. So I'm just snipping those all off now. And one more down here. And this right here, some come with this. This one did not, but I ordered one off of Amazon, which is this right here, which just helps to keep this from rattling around. So it's a good investment, and it works perfectly. So I'm happy to be recording this at the same time because it'll help me when it's time to start putting this back together. Let's see here. I'm going to take this little clip off right here, if you can see that. Take that off. And then in order to get the handle out, there's a little cotter pin down up in here. I don't see it coming out to the other side, so I'm just going to pull on it from this side and see what happens. And then I'm going to pull it out. There we go. Yeah, it was just pressed in there. So that's all it was there. So then that should allow for the handle itself to come on out. I'll set that down. So now with that out, now I can go ahead and take, I'm going to take the base off down here, which is also just a cotter pin as well, a thick cotter pin. I should be able to just compress this end together over here and push it on through. I'm going to try to grab it from this end. Yep, nice and easy. Came right on out, as you can see. And then there's that part there. Is off. And I don't want to paint my hardware. I don't want my hardware all painted, so I'm going to take all those out. So first one will be these two down here, which will be the 13 millimeter down here. Let's see here, I think 13 millimeter on the other end would be nice to hold it. That's it taken out. The bolt and the nut. I'll put that to the side, and now I'm going to do this one over here that requires the 16 millimeter. Put that in. Hold it on the other side. Take that on out. There we go. Put it down there. That comes on out. And then it's just a pin that is setting up in there. As you can see right there. Should be able to just take that and pull that on out. See that? Set that down, and then these two should come across. You can see the orientation of that, how it naturally should be in there. So you'll make a mistake and put it in backwards. And it's time to reassemble. And now I'll flip this over, and alright, now I'm learning on a lot of all this right here, because I'm not familiar with any of it, so I'm doing it, figuring it out as I go along. There's one more bolt in here that I'm taking out now. There's a bolt and a washer, as you can see. So, small one. And I'll put that down. And that allows for this arm right here to come off. You can see the orientation of how that normally was. You can see that orientation of that. Alright, and now let's see here. Now that I got that, trying to figure it out here. Just take that all the way on out, like that. There we go. Set that down. And now we have this part up in here that's remaining. And let's see here. I think if this right here, a little pin comes up. You see that? I don't know if you can see that. I'm lifting that up. Once that is up far enough, I think I may be able to. Yeah. So I got that part. I think if I pull this pin out, will it let it come out for me? Let me see. It should be able to. Let's see what I can use. I'll try using this to press on this pin right here to see if that. Yep, it came out. You see how that flew out? Now with that pin out, that should allow for me to push this all the way in, like so. Or just go in the other direction will make it easier, actually. Get the spring out of the way. So I'm going to pull that on out, and then the spring is right there to come out too as well. Alright, so I have that part there. There's going to be a little bit of degreasing that's going to need to be done in there. And then the last one is this one over here. Alright, so I'm going to need to push that little pin out too as well. As you can see, that little pin is resting between here, this little arm right here and there. So I'm going to push on that little pin. Yep, there's push coming out too as well. There we go, got that out. Now with that pin out, that should allow for this pin to drop on through. So there we go, it's out, and that spring is out. They are identical as the other one, so you don't have to worry about it getting mixed up. And then there's one thicker spring down up in there. I think at that point, let's see here. I think I should be able to just compress that down a bit to take that out. Let me see here. Alright, there we go, got it out. And now this part comes out. And just remember the orientation of that. It was in there like that. So it's going to come out like that. And then that should allow for this spring, the bigger of the springs, to come on out. And at that point, all the pieces are out. Alright, so now I'm going to ready to sand everything down. Well, first I want to clean it all off, so I'm just taking some brake cleaner just to make sure to get some, to get all the oil and grease off of them. And then I'm going to take my sanding pad and just scuff them down. That way the primer can stick to the rough surface, and then of course the paint will stick to the primer. And these are the two bolts that are used to hold the high lift on to the mount. And so I decided I wanted to paint those too, so I'm adding those into the mix. So right now I'm going to clean it all down with some brake cleaner, and then I'm just going to go over it and sand everything down. The scuff pad was going pretty slow, so what I decided to do was just grab some traditional sanding paper, rougher, and going down, moving a lot quicker to knock that shine off of there, just so I have a rough surface. So using the hand, the palm sander really helped make short work of what's going to turn out to be a long task. So now I'm done with all of that. Now I'm going to go through and get all the dust off of all of these parts. Get them all nice and dust free, and then at that point we'll throw some primer on them, okay? Alright, for me, I want to be able to see the manufacturer sticker. So I'm just going to cover that up with some tape before priming this. And after I'm done with that, I'm going to take some alcohol over everything just to get any of my body oils off of there, so we have good adhesion of all of the primer. I suggest you do the same. Alright, so I had to run out and get another can of primer. Ran a little low on that one. That can was already pretty much spent. But that's fine because it gave me the chance to let the primer dry. Now I flipped everything over. I'm about to do the other side. Alright, so now after you do your primer, if you decide to prime, gonna sand it down too, because just the primer sprayed on, it's probably gonna be kind of rough. Because you want a smooth surface, prime that down, and then you want to paint it. Again, I get my paint from over at Automotive Touch Up, and they get me the exact color match of my Jeep. And so now we're going to go ahead and spray this. I also have some clear coat as well. So after about 15 minutes of spraying this with the top coat, I usually go over it with some clear coat as well, so it has a nice shine to it. Otherwise, it'll just be kind of flat. And you definitely don't want to try to go over too heavy with this. But one of the things I noticed is that these cans will leak. It'll build up over here and you'll get drips. So be very careful when you're painting so you don't get any of those drips onto your product. It's probably a good idea to like just wipe it off every once in a while, the nozzle, to wipe off any buildup of fluid that is starting to build up around there, paint that's starting to build up around there. So take it and then just wipe it off around there a bit. Any paint that builds up in that little channel, get that out of there. And just keep shaking your paint up. Again, making sure to always wipe it up in there so you don't end up with any leaks, drips onto your product. Alright, now I'm going to put on some clear coat. Alright, so now we've done one side, and now we want to do the other side. Once I find my pipe. Alright, I think I'm not done. I'm almost out. Took a whole can. These don't really last that long. But I'm going to keep a tiny bit up in here, so if I find any little spots that I missed when I'm starting to reassemble, I can hit those up. So I'm going to wait about 10-15 minutes, throw my final coat of clear coat on here, and then tomorrow we'll reassemble this thing together and mount it back up and see how it looks. Alright, so everything's nice and painted now and ready to be reassembled. I think overall the parts turned out pretty good. Look pretty much like it did as red, but orange now. Nice shine to it. Can't say how it will hold up from a usage standpoint, but we know 95% of us who buy these things aren't buying them to actually use them, only buying them for the looks. And no different for me. Let's see here. Just taking the tape off there, so I still have my high lift. And so we're going to start reassembling this. We're going to take it slow because it was my first time taking one apart, and will also be my first time putting one together as well. Let's see here. So we'll start off with this unit here, and I believe we'll have it orientated like that, and we'll need to put this up in there. You see that first hole right there, I think goes there. I think before doing that though, we need to take this and slide this in like this. You see how this is curved in that direction? That should go in there and go into that second hole. And with that, we will take the pin, and you see that little loop, that little dip is pointed upwards. And we'll take the pin here, and we'll slide it up in there. Let's get the hole lined up. That's that. And there we go. As you can see, it's in there. So now at this point, once we put it in there, this will be able to stay in because it'll be between these 2 points, like that. And then we're going to take the bigger of our 2 bolts, and how you have your high lift sticker pointed upwards. We're going to go with the bolt from the bottom. I don't think it really matters, but just putting it back the way it was. And put it through like that. And we'll loosely tighten that down first, just in case we're doing something wrong. So now we have that part in over there. So now I believe we're going to move on to this part over here. Alright. Alright, so what we want to do here, so you have this part pointing to your left. So you have this circle part here, which is closest to this side towards you. See that if it was that way, that circle part would be further away from you. You'll have it orientated that way. Alright. You're going to have this right here, and you see this little bevel down here? That's going to be pointed outwardly, not the other way around. It's going to be pointed outwardly. So what we're going to do is, let's see here, what's the best way to do this? Take the spring, compress it, and we'll put it in there like that. Alright. Then we will take this here and go in between the spring like that. Alright. Alright. And then I'll lift that spring up like that. And I'll take it and I will slide the pin through here. Let's see here. Make sure there's nothing special about the direction. Let me try the other, from the other direction. Or maybe it works better coming in from this side of the hole. One side may be slightly bigger than the other, I don't know. So I will try both ways just to be safe. Give me something to help me push on it. It's not moving, so there's usually a reason why. I'm going to look in there and see if there's anything I should be accounting for. Doesn't look like it. One of the things I noticed is there are little grooves on here. As you can see those. Both ends appear to be the same. And they seem to be fine up until they get to that point. So I'm assuming I probably just got to press it in a bit. Alright, getting some movement that way. Alright, for now I'm going to leave it right there. As you can see, it goes up and down. And I'll leave it roughly about right there because I'm not sure. A little tiny hammer will definitely work out nice. I don't want to mar the paint that I just put in, so trying not to hit it in the wrong spot. So for now, I'll leave it right there, and I'll look back through the video to see exactly positioning wise was one side in further or versus the other side. Alright, so this is where it's starting to get a little bit more tricky. Because details matter at this point as far as putting it back together in the order of operation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this part that we've already put together. See the stickers on the back side. I flipped it over. I have this pointed up away from me at this point. And I believe I need to get this right here. I believe I need to get this right here in first. And I believe that's going to go something like that. And if memory serves me correctly, this heavier spring here, not as thick and wide as the other one, but heavier. The heavier spring needs to go in there. So I think that little part right there, the spring needs to be on there. Alright, so the trick is how to get that like that. I think first what I need to do is take this, because there's a little groove down in there. So I'm going to take it and get it down in there first. Alright, as you can see that, hopefully. And then I'm going to take this part here, with that part pointing, these are pointing up towards me. These two parts right here are pointing upwards towards the ceiling. I will put it down in there like so. And in order to make it really the way I need it, I'm going to need a flat head would be better, but I didn't bring one with me, so I'm going to use this to retract this spring back a bit, enough for me to be able to set this down in there. Make sure I'm doing this right. I had to put this little thing right here on my side of this bracket. I think that's gonna help me, and then I will retract the spring back. And there we go. I think I got it. Kind of fell in place once so now this right here can go up and down like that. Alright, and now that I have that in there, that should allow me to go ahead and take this right here and put it on in this direction, I would say. Yeah, you see how that curvature kind of pushes it down? The curvature of that against this little nub pushes it down back here. But we want it to stay on there, right? Put that back in, put that on, and we're going to take our short bolt and washer and put it in here. And just hand tighten it down to hold it in place. And now that we have that part in, I'm going to turn it with this part towards me, and I'm going to take this unit here. Now we still have one more spring set, and I believe this spring set goes in here. And I believe, so that we understand this, if you remember on this one here, you got this one with that little wedge pointed outwardly. This is going to be on here like, let's see here, like that. It's going to go on there like that. So, as you can see, this part that sticks out, that part right there that sticks out, is on the back half of that, away from me. And so that means that wedge is pointed this way towards you guys. So I most likely want the wedge that's going to go through here to be pointing in the same direction. Alright, so let's go ahead and put that in. Let's see here. I believe we want to take the spring, hopefully my big fingers aren't all too much in the way, and we'll slide that in between there. line it up. Oops. Go with it one more time. Get it lined up, and now we'll take our wedge, our pin. Make sure the wedge is going to be the flat side of the wedge is going to be pointing towards you guys. And put it down up in there, like that. All right. And now we need to get the pin in there. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and take this out for now. And what I want to do is get myself access to the hole. Get the pin here. I'm just sliding it up. And I'll show you guys can see the hole right there. So I need to lift this spring up and hold it up while I put the wedge, the pin in beneath it. You see that? So now I need to take this pin and stick it in there like that. Alright. And now I need to beat it in a bit. I'm wondering right now if it would have been better. I'm going to take this part back off. Take that off. I think we're comfortable putting that back together, so that won't be a problem. We're going to take that off. And we're going to take this back out. Retract that spring back down. Remove this. Alright, so I just need to go back and double check just to make sure I was doing it right. So I'm going to put the pin back in here. You see the spring is still sitting in there. I'm going to put the pin back in there like I said I was. And so I'll get that in there. And what I want to do is before I put the pin in through this side, I want to do it through the back side. That's where I went wrong at. That's all. What's the source of my issue there? So hopefully my arms and everything isn't in the way. But I'm coming through the back end back here. I'm lifting up the spring so that I can slide this in. And there we go. So that was my issue. I just went in it from the wrong angle. And now I'm going to try to press this in as much as I can. If I do it that way, I may be able to hit it in. Just want to make sure I have the, let's see here, a little hammer would be perfect right about now. A little tiny hammer with some good weight. Just trying to hold this in one spot. helps it out better. All right, so got that in there. So there we go. And the wedge is pointing in the right direction, which is pointing towards this end where you have this flat plate there. So if you can see that in there. All right, so now I should be able to take this here first, and I believe put that in there. There may still be a timing thing. I may need to pan out a little bit before I push it all the way in. I'm going to slide the pin back just a little bit. Allow me to put this in there first. And then I'm going to pull down on that spring again. And again, yes, I know it would be much easier with, like, say, a flat head. But I don't feel like going out to my garage to grab one. All right, I think that's almost it. There we go. Let's get it set down on there. All right. Now, let me try putting that on there. Back in the same way as I did before. Put this down and see if everything looks good. I have an awful memory about order of operations of how I did it. All right. That part seems to be fine. And I think we're okay right there so far. Just pulling that pin back. But I'm not sure where the pin, how far the pin should be up in there. But I believe my next part will be this over here. And let me see if order of operation meant anything here. Because this right here is also going to be up in here. And I believe, let me try to see how this may work out. Let's see here. Because that's going to be over there. Let me flip it over this way. See if I... I'm assuming it will be like that. I end up sliding this here, you see that slid through there. Now I think I may have one thing wrong though, because my pin there is pointing away from me. The slant part is pointing away from me, while the one behind it is pointing towards me. And this one I know is right, so I think I need to turn this one around. Alright. It shouldn't be a big deal to turn that around. That means I just need to pull the pin out, rotate it. Pull the pin out, and then rotate this 180 degrees. I think I had it the right way originally, but I think it must have got twisted at some point and I didn't realize that. We'll put the pin on the floor under the couch. There's one on the couch right here. Alright. So, bring this back up. Now, when this is on there like that, it's pointed away from me, and I want to make sure this one also points away from me, like that, and I need to slide the pin in from this side. Alright, it's in there holding it, and it is pointing away from me this time, as you can see. So I'll go ahead and tap that in. I'll just leave it there for now as I connect everything else back up in here. So I'm going to take this here, and this little bar right here is going to go down into that little groove right there. Probably another one of those order of operation things. Let's see if I can get a little bit more wiggle room off of here by taking this arm off. Run that way. That way I can hopefully, yep, there we go. So I was able to get it on there. Now I can put this back down in there. Alright, now I should be able to take this here, and tighten that one in there pretty good, and slide it in here. And again, just hand tightening it, and let's see here, I think I got it. Alright. Alright. I'm going to go back through my original video, take a look just to make sure I got everything where it's supposed to be at first. Alright, everything looks okay. Just one thing I want to point out here is for this one right here, the spring on this one, this whole rod pin spring system here. You see this little triangle? That little triangle right there? That is meant to lift this pin up. So you want the pin part, if I can I you want that pin part, when it goes in there, we want it to be in front. Let's see here, my thumb right there. It's hard to see that up in there. You just want it in front of that. You want it in front of that triangle little thingy. Let me get it in there, and then maybe I can show you afterwards. So I'm going to rotate this back a bit and try to hit the pin down up in there. Alright, I'll take this, again, my rigging it up of my tools. I think I'll put that on there like that. Just hitting the tip of that pin down up in there. And it's hitting on here, so I need to rotate it back. I can use that to hold it back. Use this to hold it back, and that way I can be able to get the pin down the rest of it. Alright, so after looking, I see what the last thing I need to do. The pin here, for this one up here, put my thumb out of the way. Let's see here. That pin here needs to be extended out past this part right here so that it rests on there. So I need to be able to push that further back up in there. See if I can just do it with pure muscle or not. I may have to use my hammering technique. There we go. Oh, not quite. It was almost there, but not quite there. Let me give it a little bit more. Alright. Oops. Too much one way, then too little the other way. Alright. And then that's how it's supposed to be. And then this right here pushes it up like that. So I'll pull it back in a little bit. So it's like about right there. See that? That's how it's supposed to be. That was the last tricky part I couldn't figure out. So now I want to go ahead and tighten these down. Last one over here. All right. So now I want to be able to take this rod here, and I'll be able to probably go in it from this direction. Just got to line it up. There we go. Now that we have that part in, I can take the foot here and put it on. See it from that angle. This way a little bit more. And for here, we want to be able to just put that in there and hammer it down in there. There we go. And I put zip ties on there, by the way, because I'm not too big of a fan of that. For the backhand side, I think I'll run a little wedge through there though, and just try to separate that out a bit more. Take my flat head and hammer it in there just to spread that out a little bit more. Alright, and now that we have that on, now we can work on the handle part. So alright, where we will take our handle and we will put it in here as such. And you got a little hole here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a hole in there in the black handle. And you're going to take your smaller cotter pin and just hammering it down up in there. There we go. And now we're going to take the ring and put the ring back on. To swivel around and lock onto here a bit. Doesn't really do much of anything. And then at that point, I'll take my rubber piece here too and put it back on here. Alright, so now I can say we're pretty much ready to go get it all mounted up. Let's see here. And got my two painted mounting bolts, nuts, wing nuts. So I'll meet you all at the Jeep and we can get this mount back up. Alright, let's get this mounted up. It's still windy out, so the sound quality may be off a bit, but I think we should be okay. Let's get this all preset so we can mount up the lift, the high lift. Have those two up. Now I'll get my two out right here. And put it up roughly about there, I think. Direction, actually. Yeah, roughly about there. there she is, all mounted. Color match to the Jeep. Like the look, looks good. Give you guys a quick little walk around of the Jeep. She's all done now, ready for the summer. So if you liked, please hit the like button, and please hit the subscribe button. I have a whole lot of other of my Jeep Wrangler JKU how-to videos out there. Thanks a lot for watching, guys.